For some months now, a young Russian man has been living in fear of being discovered here in Tbilisi, Georgia's capital. He won't tell us his real name. We'll call him Nikita. Until last February, Nikita lived and studied in Moscow. Then he was called up for military service, and he fled.
I didn't want to go to war. Leaving the country was my only chance. I knew the consequences, that I'd have to hide from Russia for the rest of my life. I'd never be able to return. But I just don't want to kill people. I'm not afraid of dying or landing in prison, but killing people, I can't do that.
Thousands of kilometers away in Uralsk, western Kazakhstan, Igor Sanjiv is living here for now. He'll show his face. He wants to go public. When the mobilization commenced in autumn 2022, he was ordered to report to the military, ostensibly to confirm his personnel data. But when Igor showed up, he was inducted on the spot. That same evening, he was to be taken to an army training camp. A few weeks later, he was to be sent to the front. Igor felt he'd been trapped and decided to escape.
To me, it was all or nothing. I thought either I'll go to prison for many years because I left my army unit, or I'll die somewhere in Ukraine. I'd rather go to prison. I don't want to take the risk. I don't want to gamble in this lottery called war that President Putin is staging.
This lottery, as Igor Sanjiv calls the war on Ukraine, is deadly, he says. The latest media reports say it's cost tens of thousands of Russian lives. Currently, none of the figures can be confirmed. Many of those called up last year under Putin's mobilization order were fathers, and many came from Russia's poorest regions. A few complained to human rights organizations or on social media about the poor conditions and shortages of arms and ammunition.
We get lots of reports about the chaos at the front. Sometimes nobody knows who the commanding officers are. Some say they were simply dumped in an open field with no idea what to do and no leadership of any kind. We've heard that conscripts aren't taught anything, that the entire training consists of firing a machine gun once.
Human rights activists have noted over 1,000 court proceedings over alleged desertions. The actual number of deserters is thought to be much higher, and the general fear of another mobilization still looms. The men who joined the military before the war have even more to fear, like Nikita in Georgia. He tells us the military financed his university studies. In return, he had to sign on for 3 years of service after graduating.
I signed the contract out of sheer stupidity. There were many things I wasn't aware of when I started university at age 20. I thought, okay, I'll waste 3 years in the army, but I'll get my degree.
Now Nikita realizes how naive that was. But many other Russians did much the same. They never expected that Putin would actually invade Ukraine.
The financial opportunities for our people are limited. Wages aren't paid. Healthcare is poor. Mobilization and joining the war effort was the only chance many people had to shore up their budgets. One person might have a daughter about to start college. Another might have taken out a mortgage. A third might need a car.
But now, with the war in full swing, it's a question of life and death. Igor and Nikita know that in Russia, deserters face long prison sentences, cause enough for their fears.
I don't feel safe in Georgia, and not because the people here are mean or anything. As a Russian, I've never experienced any negative sentiments from the Georgians. But here, I'm just as afraid of the Russian state as ever. Sometimes I have nightmares of my old boss knocking at my door and saying, "I found you."
Igor applied for asylum in Kazakhstan, but was rejected. He appealed and was turned down again. Now he's facing deportation to Russia. Igor has no illusions about his future.
Меня там ждет или тюремное заключение,
I can expect either prison or Ukraine at the front.
Потому что сейчас там
The state media are giving the Russians the impression that personnel are in short supply, and men of working age ought to go to the front.
But neither Igor nor Nikita intend to comply. They're making every effort to stay abroad as long as they can.